Mm-hmm. Hi guys, welcome to another Squad Games podcast video. Today we're going to be talking about Tomb World and our in-depth review and analysis of operatives and the hobby. As you can see here, we painted everything. We even have the terrain painted and ready to be shown off. We've also played the teams on stream. No, not on stream. It'll be coming out to video, and you can watch that today as well. Maybe you're coming here from the video, from us playing. We have a lot of insights, and I'm not gonna lie, the Necrons are a lot harder to play than I expected. Today we're gonna talk about a little bit about the box, our overview, the rules of the team, and then about hobby for both teams. So it's going to be a long one. Hopefully you're ready. Thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you, GW, for sending us the advanced copy so that we could bring this stuff to you guys. And hopefully you can decide whether this is something for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Games Workshop. It really means a lot that we can make this stuff for the community. We are very appreciative of your generous, this box behind us so we can do this. Bring out battle reports and talk about cool stuff, right? So, Giacomo, the box is $250, and I'm not gonna lie, I usually stay off Reddit, and today it brought me to Reddit today, and there's a couple things I noticed. There's some people complaining that the box is $250, right? What do you think about the box, and is it worth it? Because I got big opinions on it.
All right. I look at it like this. It's the start of a new season. You're getting two teams, which on average at most stores with I think most teams are about $65 to $70. And a terrain set on its own, like Yellow Dark, I think was $95.
It's about $100 typically.
About $100. So if you put it together, it's kind of right at that price. In addition to that, you do get extra stuff for NPL mode, which I'm starting to see the trend for it, which I'm down for it. That's a way for people to start getting to play NPL mode. So looking at like that, personally, I think it's a very good box to split with someone if you like the teams and you want to just have a series of terrain so you can start playing the game. That's one of the beautiful things about Kill Team with these big boxes is you pretty much get everything you need. Like I would probably say like 90% is everything you need in a box is ready to go. So I think, to me, I think it's worth it. Absolutely.
I think it's also very much worth it. This box, the terrain alone makes it worth it, in my opinion. In fact, I'm going to be picking up another box, right? Or two, because my wife wants to paint the Space Marines. I want to paint the Space Marines, she also wants to paint the Necrons. And then I have an extra Necron team that I'm going to have. I'm probably going to give away at the Las Vegas Open. Speaking of the Las Vegas Open, you should check it out. It's coming up in October here. Now, awesome thing here. The terrain is so beautiful and so magnificent that I would trade all of my Gallo Dark sets, all 32 sets, for half of these. Okay. I think these are easily worth double it, which equals $200 in my opinion. Right. I mean, the way that they come apart and they go into these little holes here, right? Like they have this little like connector, and you just don't even realize, it's just amazing. Not only is it lighter, the terrain is lighter than the other stuff. It's prettier. Goes together way easier. I think it might be a little bit more difficult to paint. There is stone, right? Essentially, I think the Necron lore, if no one is used to this, the Necrons had an empire. They all went to sleep. People built over them. The dinosaurs came, the dinosaurs left, they got buried, all that kind of stuff. And now there's rocks over their tunnels. Now they're waking up and they're cleaning house, right? They're cleaning up their little fortresses and stuff and breaking off the stone here and there, doing a little spring house cleaning. And, that's the Necrons in a nutshell. And they're here to, smash some face. And they also hate elves. So, and Tyranids. And everything else.
The Tyranid part. No, I like elves, though. I like elves. I think elves are cool.
Yeah. So the terrain alone makes the box worth it. There is speculation that when the Deathwatch team releases, are you going to get 5 Deathwatch Marines at who knows what price? Right? We don't know. We don't know the price of when in 3 to 6 months when this team releases if they're going to come out in fives or they're going to come out in tens. Right?
Hmm.
Um, I think you might be getting double the Death Watch here. I think it's a very good deal. I think it's a very good price. Anyone who doesn't buy it will probably just regret it in the future.
Right.
That's in
This
my
is such a
opinion.
good set. You get two big things, a terrain set. Like this is probably the best time to start in the season. Like if you have a chance with you and a buddy to pick up the set or by yourself, I see if you can still get it. Hopefully you can. I know once they kind of sell out at most friendly local game stores, they're kind of sold out for a while. If you're near GW, they might have it after pre-order for a little bit, maybe. I hope that everyone who wants it can get it.
Dude, I mean, not only that, but the teams are really cool and the teams are really fun. This is the
Yes.
first Necron bespoke team we've ever gotten, right? Like actual models for Kill Team, right? We've had Higher Tech Circle, but this is like models made for Kill Team.
Right.
It's amazing. We have the original Kill Team as well,
Yes,
which
the
is awesome.
the namesake that started it all, the
Hmm.
Deathwatch kill team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did spend probably 2 days of effort on an article that we have on our website. So if you want to check out that, it's at squad-games.net. It's under the article section. We have really high quality res shots of our models in there. We have everything that we wrote about it. I have a bunch of different we have a bunch of different funny sayings in it. We spend a lot of time. I would really appreciate it if you guys would go check it out. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
so we played this team last night here in the studio with Saya recording us. Um, what did you think overall of your first experience playing Deathwatch?
They did exactly what I expected them to do, and I don't know what else to really say other than that, like, they met my expectations and then they really made me happy. So like I had a great time playing them. I love elites. I love Space Marines in particular. So getting to play what I'd argue is the most elite version of Space Marines was a hell of a blast. You have so many options and all these tricks that don't really feel too cheesy in terms of like, you tell your opponent this is what I do, and it's just a very strong ability, right? There's not really gotchas. It's just I do this, and when I do this, I get to do this.
There's
And
a gotcha. There's 100% a gotcha in that
but
game.
you knew it
Who's
because
that
I
guy? Who's
because
this guy?
I knew
Who's that guy? I hate
he's the
him.
one guy,
I
but I
hate him.
told you he can do that.
What's
So like
yes, but what's his name? What's his
that is
name?
the marksman, and the
Yeah,
marksman can go on guard twice if he shoots.
Dakotah hates going on guard twice, so everyone knows.
Right, because a
At
guard
Worlds,
action
it literally nuked all of my vet guard into the ground. Like
he
had to
gets
trade
the
5 guardsmen.
rule.
I hate it. I hate it. Oh my goodness. Okay,
Uh,
but also the thing that really gets you is their special ammunition, right?
yes,
Which we'll go over more, right, when we get to the rules section for Death Watch. But there's some really big spicy moments, specifically from your marksman in our battle report. He was your MVP for sure, him and your leader.
easy.
You know,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
rest
they
of your
cooked.
models didn't do anything.
They were support, and that's you know what? Not everyone needs to be the hero.
Yeah,
I only needed two heroes, and the rest of the guys just needed to kind of bring the fear of the emperor to you.
absolutely, absolutely. They seem like a lot of fun to play. I can't wait to hobby up mine. Um, if people that are watching, why don't you leave a comment? I'm trying to decide what to do. I'm either going to do Power Rangers, which I'll explain what that is in a second, or I want to do Ultramarines. So I'm going to make them all Ultramarines, right? Or I'm going to make them Power Rangers. And what I mean by Power Rangers is you've seen all the box art for the Space Marine Heroes and all that kind of stuff, where they go to target. So you have like one Imperial Fist, one Black Templar, one like of each color, one Salamander, one,
Hmm.
Blood Angel, I think that would be a really cool team. There's 11 of them. I could do 11 chapters,
Yeah, yeah, and you
I
could
could put
slap on
Titus in there.
yeah
Lieutenants
whatever
of
you like.
Death are dead, in my opinion. They're dead. So now we
Right,
gotta.
when this exists. Like
They're so dead.
I like my Angels of Death, but I'm it's gonna be hard to want to pull them out. I think someone's gonna have to ask me particularly. Not to say they're not good in their own right, but this is just like it's just hands down better.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I would say I'm sad for Angels of Death to be dead. I'm not sad anymore. If anyone watched our previous content, we were really heavy critics on AOD getting nerfed, especially with the 41% win rate. I don't think AOD is going to exist anymore after people start playing this team because they're the new hotness. They're fantastic. They're really good. Some content creators are saying that they're absolutely broken. I don't know if I agree that they are broken. They're really good. I
They're
just
very
don't know
good.
if they're like sanctifiers on release or cults on release style of good. Um,
Yes. Which we will show you as we touch on the rules in a little bit.
mhm. What did you think playing against Canoptek? And I'll give you my thoughts of Canoptek.
So I wasn't too sure what to expect because I was so used to Hyrotech Circle with
Hmm.
like a bunch of weird shooting things, and strangely enough, you still have a bunch of weird shooting things. Um, and
The one shot wonder gun.
The
That's what I
one
like to
shot
call
wonder
it.
gun, man, that gun is strong. The Matrix is a very cool mechanic. I really like the Matrix. I think it's a
So do I.
very, very
Hmm.
fun mechanic.
You could go full Neo on people.
Full Neo, man. You
Hmm.
really can with the Matrix.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's one of the things I really like about this team, a little more than Raveners, that also really benefit from some kind of tokeny path thing. I think you just get more right away from the Matrix, where burrowing tunnels is a little weirder. So I think to me, the Matrix is higher up on the list right now for things that aren't
Faction
quite.
mechanic wise, I think it's
Yeah,
way cooler than just digging in the ground and running around. For
yeah,
sure. For
yeah.
sure. Yeah. So my experience of playing these guys, I think that they're very difficult to pilot. I think they're going to be really good in 9 months when certain people. I think there's going to be a lot of people who try them, and a lot of people that are like, this team's too hard, right? Um, Personally, I really like the team. I like the strategical itch that it puts into my brain of like, what can I do? When should I be doing things? It definitely has. Times when you should be doing things. Like for instance, I made some mistakes in the battle report. I made multiple mistakes in the battle report. I'm aware of them. Um, but like, firstly, the team's very difficult to play. But there's this learning curve where when I was using the leader, who you see right here, the Geomancer, he is such a key integral piece. And if you don't use him right and you don't have a strategy going in originally, you're going to struggle. And I had a strategy, but I didn't do it in the right order, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So since I'm used to playing Veteran Guard and these like order of activation teams where you're supposed to do certain things in a row, right? I think by far his strongest thing is opening doors and uh, touching nodes with his little orbs, and also his molecular breach, which allows him to select a friendly allied model and teleport them, either visible within 6 or somebody who's in the node matrix, I believe, who we'll find out in a second. I never used it like that. I just did visible. And you can teleport through Necron walls. And he is a visible Necron dude, so he can do it to himself.
Mhm.
He can give himself 4 APL. Dude is cooked. He doesn't have super strong weapons, but he has so much stuff. You actually need more APL than 4 to
Yeah,
do anything with him.
that's one thing that this team, I think, if you lose your leader early on, you're at a massive disadvantage.
You probably lose. You
Yeah,
probably just straight lose. Yeah.
I think that I feel like that's the case with Hyrotech Circle too. Like you really got to keep that leader alive because they provide so much support, which
Mhm.
feels right for Necrons that a Lord would be doing that. So I
In
like it.
my
I think it's interesting.
in my opinion, I think this is an extremely defensive and reactive team. So you want to react to what your opponent is doing. while setting up plays and kind of baiting them into traps, right? Which is really cool for an ancient evil type race. Um, and I think that like if people know how to play into them, they're going to be a lot more cautious, right? You did a really good job at like being able to like stop some of my things, and I didn't realize some of the things you could do. But also, you didn't see the one-shot wonder gun, you know, doing so well.
No, yeah, that was a twist, man. Like, and if you want to know more about that, watch the battle report. Check it out. You know, it's up now.
hmm Yeah.
And you're
Do
gonna see it.
realize that we're probably both going to make mistakes. It is the very first time we've had we've been painting for 7 or 8 days, right? So, yeah, painting for that long, learning the rules, writing articles. We really put our best foot forward to learn the rules as much as possible, but there were still some things that we got wrong here and there.
Yes,
But we will be playing these teams again, probably this week, and trying to improve and doing other stuff. So it's
as
going to be a lot
always.
of fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
So do we want to go into
the
Deathwatch first?
rules. Yeah,
Okay.
let's get into the thing.
You want to do faction rules?
Yeah, we'll go into faction rules real quick. So you have the Veteran Astartes rules, which lets you do what Marines can do, which is they can shoot twice, fight twice, and that's with all their weapons. It might cost a little more APL to fire, let's say, like a plasma gun twice. They can counteract when they're in conceal, and a cool thing with their counteracting is they can perform 1 APL actions for free when they counteract. So that's amazing. So everybody has, what was the Angels of Death one called? I can't even remember what it was called, but they have that, and everybody gets it, which is really nice. Wrath of Vengeance, I think is what it's called, and everyone has that essentially, which is awesome. And then of course they have their big thing, which is all Deathwatch players know, is special issue ammunition. Yay! So once per turning point, when you're shooting, when one of your Marines making a shoot action, you can choose to use one of the ammunition types. If you do, the weapon gets that ammunition type, and it's very strong. As you can see here, we got Blast, we got Devastating, Lethal 5, Piercing, Rending, Saturate, and Severe. So if you need something to proc, you got Severe for that. If you need to, like, you know, people are grouping up but you don't got a Blast guy, you know, you can hit him with this thing. Maybe you just need to do a little bit extra damage, you want to guarantee it, so you get some Devastating on. It's very strong, very flexible, a very strong ability. And at first I thought if you only get it once per turning point, wasn't nearly as strong as it is. I was wrong. It's still very strong, and you really only need it like once per turning point, realistically. Because their weapons, naturally, a lot of these guys have very good weapons too. Their loadouts usually will come with some special ability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very strong ability, and I think it's underrated with how good it is. You might look at it, you might be like, all right, but if you can choose the point where Blast is going to be crazy, you know, like you use the incinerator plasma guy, and then there's suddenly 3 or 4 people within an inch of each other, and you nuke all of them into the ground, and you're like, oh my gosh, you know,
It's crazy. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Is all this special ammunition works on any weapon. So plasma can have it. Your flamethrower can have it off the Infernus Heavy Bolter. It does. It's not just bolt weapons.
correct. Now, when you read this, you may think like, hey, actually, I don't like when I read this rule, it doesn't specifically say add, right? It doesn't also say, it just says like, use this weapon rule, right? You can use this rule, right? And that doesn't necessarily say that it removes or it adds. But if you look at, I believe, the 3rd paragraph of the designer commentary, which I'm a big fan of them adding, it does say that these add to the rule's current special rule. So if you have that question, I just answered it. Okay.
Yes.
Don't argue it. It's in the designer commentary. Okay.
And things don't stack. So if you have piercing 1 and you add piercing 1, it does not go to piercing 2. It's just piercing 1. So don't do that. Just throw yourself on a lethal 5 or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's very important to have these. And I should point out, it's piercing 1, not piercing crits. You just get piercing 1 when you need it. So
Correct.
That's important to have.
It is. It is.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you want to go over strategy ploys next, G, or do you want to go over models?
Let's go over strategy plays real fast. We'll go strategy, firefight, and then I'm fine with some models.
I have mission tactics here.
Yes, so this is one of your first ones. This is an awesome one. So you would select either your conceal or your engage. And if you are shooting or fighting, any of your weapons are doing something to an opponent that has the order token you've chosen, your weapons gain balance. This is insanely useful. If you watch the video, I use this every turn because it's so useful. If you know your opponent's going to be aggressive, then you're just going to take engage and you're just going to have balance in everybody. It's awesome. That's for one command point, you get command point reroll pretty much on everyone. Almost guaranteed everyone's going to get to benefit off this.
And that is such an important thing. Like, I can't tell you for new players how important balanced or ceaseless is, especially if you're just going to use it for one command point, because there's going to be a point where you don't take this. You only have one command point left, and then you just whiff with everything. I mean, I lost to Alex Popov when I played Space Marines into his exaction squad, and there's no way that I should have lost that game. But my last round, I had like 2 or 3 Space Marines that just completely whiffed. And if I just would have spent one command point, I wouldn't have had to burn everything. And it's the reason why I lost, you know? Um, dice be dice. So if you
Dice be
can
dice.
make dice not be dice, you're doing great things.
Yeah, this
All
is
right.
one of your few reroll abilities, so take them when you can.
So we have the long vigil up next.
Ah, yes, the long vigil. So when someone is shooting at one of your Deathwatch models, if you're within your territory, not wholly, just within, so you could be on that halfway mark, you can reroll your defense dice. So real fast, they have security and seek and destroy. So if you're playing a lot of security and you need to kind of stay in your zone to help hold it, this is perfect. You take the long vigil. That's
Hmm.
right away. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's a little more situational because I didn't use this really once because I was playing pretty aggressively, but I can see if you decide to play more defensively, then the long vigil really comes in handy. Just for again having reroll defense dice is nice.
it is. Especially if you know your models are going to get shot.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have "And They Shall Know No Fear."
This is a classic one. So Space Marines, they decide that they don't want to actually be injured, even though they should be injured. Pretty straightforward. Sometimes you need these guys to make sure they're working at full capacity, especially since they only got 5 models, 5 operatives. You gotta do what you can. And so this lets them just work one more time. I should have used this at one point, and I was debating it. So it's never a bad thing to have, and they shall know no fear.
Absolutely.
Just a good tool.
Next up, we have "The Shield That Slays."
Ah, yes, the shield that slays. This one is great. So when your guy is in your opponent's territory, again, not wholly within, just within your opponent's territory, if you're getting a normal or critical damage of 4 or more, reduce it by 1. Awesome. Again, most of these models, I think on average, is about 15 wounds. So again, with 5 models, you need to try to keep them alive as much as you can, whether you're using this or some of their other abilities. So again, anything that keeps 5 models alive for longer is super important. And I use Shield That Slays a lot. It's a very good ability. You're probably using
This
this more.
this
Yeah.
was very, very good in our matchup. It's kept some of his guys just alive. Period.
Hmm.
You also used "Suffer Not the Alien to Live."
Ah, yes, this one is the most flavorful one, probably right next to Initial No No Fear. So for Deathwatch, they are Xenos Hunters. So if you're fighting or shooting at an enemy operative that doesn't have Chaos or Imperium, then you can reroll any of your attack dice. So I happened to play against Necron, like a Necron kill team, so I got to use this a few times, which is always nice. And
Absolutely.
there's times where you whiff and you just need full rerolls. And then we have Transhuman Physiology. This is a classic. If you make a normal defense dice, you can transform it as a critical instead, which can make or break a time when someone goes, "I got the critical damage hit," but then no, you're not really, and you survive. And on the screen right now, you can see the Deathwatch we have. I believe that's the Silver Bulls. We got Lamenters. We have the Marksman as the Exorcist. We have the Aegis veteran as the Red Scorpion. That was on a request by one person. And then we have the Salamanders, because Salamanders always carry fire. That's just the thing you do with the Infernus Heavy Bolter. That is the Horde Slayer.
Hmm. And then our final firefight. No, we have 2 firefight boys left. I lied. What about Auspex Scan?
So Advanced Auspex Scan. So when you're shooting, when you're shooting at an enemy operative, um, the ranged weapons have the saturate rule, and they
Hmm.
can't be obscured. So this is nice. And if you pair this with the what's his name right now? the disruptor, he can activate this for free for you, which is good because you want to save command points to use them for all your other stuff. It's pretty nice and can come in handy like if you're playing against like Night Lords who want to be obscured all the time. You just get rid of that, gives them something to fear.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they get nightmares now.
And we have auspicator tracking.
So this is nice, and I did use this against Dakotah. This is probably one of the few gotchas that this team has, I think. So I'm in counteracting mode right now, and you can decide to change from from your order token. You can switch it to the opposite. So if I was in conceal, I jump up to engage, and then now I can suddenly shoot and do stuff. Or if you had shot, you can then go into conceal and hide.
Correct.
It's very nice to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, just another tool to keep you alive.
Absolutely. So next up, we have the operatives.
Oh, and we have a total of 11 operatives that you can choose from and build in the box. In the box, if you get it from Tomb World, you can build 10 operatives out the door.
So we'll go over some of these guys that we don't have yet, and then I'll swap them over here for the models that we do.
Let's do it. All right, so we have the Head Taker Veteran. This guy is in Phobos armor. The stat line is 3, 7, 3, and 13. He has special issue bolt pistol, which comes with piercing 1 naturally on it, which is always nice. He has combat blades, 5 attacks on 3s, 4 or 5 damage. He's your standard melee guy, but he's got a lot of cool abilities that Phobos players will know. So he has all the equipment. He has the grapnel launcher, and he has the grab shoot. So vertical distances, like he's essentially flying. It's kind of his little Batman moves right there. He has the head taker ability, which he can charge from conceal. If he does charge from conceal and he wasn't visible to the model that you charged, he can then perform 2 of his attacks. So he can strike. So let's say 2 crits on a weaker guy, kills them outright, and he can charge from conceal, which is always nice.
Yeah, this guy's really good. He's really, really good. I'm surprised you didn't build him, but you can only build 5. So I think, did you just build your favorites, Giacomo? Is that what happened?
I built in the article that you'll read. I built the tack list I recommend to people. If you're unsure of what to take, this is a very decent amount of things to take. And if you just had to build 5 off the top of your head, this is what I'd recommend.
Yeah, we have 3. Giacomo built 3 different lists that he thinks would be good into what melee, hordes, and then just tactical, just straight, right?
Yep, just whatever else. If you're unsure, just
or elites. Elites might have been one.
Elites is one of them. Yes, when you need to have just more hitting power.
This guy is one that I think I might take every game. This guy's crazy. The Deathwatch Gunner Veteran.
Yeah, he just has a really strong plasma weapon. It's the heavy plasma incinerator, which can stand at an overcharge.
He gets 5 attacks with his plasma, dude.
It's very
imagine
strong.
A 5 attack plasma, right? Just imagine it.
Right. So when, real quick with this gunner, when I was deciding for the take all list, I had to think to myself, all right, I want a support unit that can fight pretty well, which was the sergeant. I want a regular support unit, which is the disruptor. I needed something that can deal with a good amount of small bodies and medium-sized bodies, so like the Horde Slayer. I needed someone who has really strong abilities like the Marksman, and then I needed to have one guy who's defensive, which was the Aegis. So I was between going the Gunner or the Marksman for like the ranged option, and I ultimately went with the Stalker. The Marksman.
I think the Disruptor was your singular poor operative choice against Canoptek.
Yeah, I think the Gunner probably would get me more mileage realistically. But again, we're doing our take.
Yeah, because you could just give him blast, and then he has a 5 attacks hitting on 3s, 4, 6, piercing 1, lethal 5, right? Because he has blast and into the dark, right? Or Tomb World or whatever, right? It's crazy. It's nutty. What else? What is the other things that he can do? You could give him devastating 1, ammo. Right? With a lethal 5. Imagine a 5 attacks hitting on 3s, 5, 6, hot, lethal 5, piercing 1, severe, or saturate, or rending, or piercing 1. Don't worry about lethal 5. Or dev 1, lethal 5s, and you're just like, oh yeah, well, this is on average going to do 7 damage on every critical.
Mm-hmm. It's very strong, yeah, especially if you overcharge it. Like, in fact, it actually probably is really good into hordes if they bundle up, because most hordes only have 7 wounds, so you just knock them out with the devastating.
What is this character's Well, the fact that he can shoot and then counteract shoot again is crazy. What? So this guy has a specific name in 40K.
Oh
They
yes, these are Hellblasters.
Hellblasters. Those are the
Yes, so
guys.
this is a
Yeah,
Hellblaster.
big fan. I
Big
love that.
fan.
I love the Hellblasters when they came out. I really don't like the Mario Rocket guys, but I really
No, yeah,
like.
those rock guys are kind of whack. Not gonna lie. Not gonna
And you
lie. I
still
have
bought them.
them, but
You
they're
still
still kind
bought
of
them.
whack.
You
Yeah,
still
of course.
bought them.
I like Space Marines.
We have Deathwatch Demolisher veteran next.
Yes, this guy. Okay, he's got a crazy hammer, 6'7" with shock and stun. He does hit on force. It's a little unwieldy. Um, Now, if you're playing hyper aggressive, which when you're taking this guy, that should be your strategy. He has brutal assault. So when he fights, so fights not retaliates. When he fights, he gets brutal. When he charges, he gains ceaseless. So if you charge and fight, you have ceaseless and brutal, which is it's rough because you got shock and stun. Your opponent's probably going to die. You have aggressive force, so you subtract 1 damage to a minimum of 2 when you're fighting or retaliating. So like, you're really in the zone, you have adrenaline running, you're not taking as much damage. But you really want to play aggressive with this model, or else you do not get all those benefits. So if you're going to take him, make sure you're being aggressive.
Yeah. So just imagine. I want everyone to think about this. You charge, right? You have to charge with this model, otherwise he's kind of bad. But
Mhm.
you charge and you have 5 attacks hitting on 4s, ceaseless, 6, 7. I mean, you're killing any legionary,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know?
Unfortunately, you can't give this special ammunition.
You're right.
It's not
You're
a
right.
ranged attack.
I
Can we
mean, he
get
has
a
he has a bolt pistol. You could give him blast.
Yeah, you could give him blast if you need the bolt
But
pistol to just be
sometimes I
explosive.
mean, I underestimated how strong just 3-4 on blast is. Period. Like
Mhm.
3-4 damage on blast is still crazy. It's
Yeah,
better than it's better than a frag grenade, and you're hitting
and
on
if
threes.
yeah, and if you give it Tomb World, then you have Lethal 5 as well because it has blast now.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
strong.
that's a
Very
that's a
strong.
strong that's a strong power.
Who's this operative going to be when you hobby them up?
The Demolisher. Ooh, I haven't quite thought of this one. I didn't want to do Space Wolves because I feel like that would have been the choice. I might go Templars. I like the idea of Templars having a hand, but no,
Okay.
they're more swords, so I don't know. Uh, I'll have to decide.
Okay.
It'll happen.
We have the Breacher veteran, which you've told me might be the best operative on the team.
The best Gravis operative for sure. So he's 18 wounds. He moves a little slower at 5 inches, but really that's not that much of a problem. Here's what makes him super nice. He has the Hellstorm bolt rifle, um, which, unless I'm mistaken, it can shoot twice without having to spend the extra AP because it's just a bolt weapon, which is awesome. So that's always good. And if he doesn't need to use that, he can just shoot his grenade launcher twice, but that costs the extra AP. So he has that flexibility going for him. The Hellstorm bolt rifle, is 4 or 5 damage with Torrent 1. That's very strong. Like it's infinite range, whatever. He has a Melta bomb, which at first I was like, I know it's good against elites, but maybe the hammer's better. Then I realized you really only need to kill an elite with the bomb once, anyways. Um, and it's crazy. It's piercing, crazy damage, and he still has good fists, 3-4 damage. It's hard not to take this guy in most situations, just because he can do a lot of what everyone else can do. He has like strong weapons like the bombard has. He has torrent, so he's kind of like doing a fake version of the horde slayer. So he can take a lot of abilities.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, your auxiliary grenade launcher effectively could in theory get blast, which also
mhm,
gives it lethal 5 on Into the Dark, right?
mhm.
You could just give it severe, you know.
Yeah,
You could
yeah.
do
Like you,
all sorts of stuff with this guy, you know.
it's hard to not take the breacher in most
A
cases.
lethal 5 crack grenade hitting on threes.
Hmm. A blast crack grenade, which is nuts. Let's say you put a devastating shot on your frag grenade, because here's the cool thing about torrent and frag: it is one shot, so the ammo type happens on all of it, and then each roll is happening separate to each model. But the shot comes from one source, so your ammo happened for all of that. So that's crazy with torrent and blast. Like, what? Devastating on everyone? What's going on, guys?
Yeah.
It's really good. So it's hard to not want to take this guy in most cases.
Yeah, and he has a melt bomb, which
And he's a
means that
melta
he
bomb.
breaches through the Tomb World walls
Oh,
better than anyone else.
that's the thing to point out. So if you see on his keywords, thank you for reminding me. He has the breacher keyword right there, which on as you just mentioned in Tomb World and any breachable walls, I assume in the future, um, you instead of taking 2 AP to breach a wall, it costs 1 AP to breach a wall now, which
Mm-hmm.
is awesome. So again, he has that tool strapped to him as well. Like he's got a lot. I think one way they could have toned him down is if they had given him an Astartes shotgun, so he had to be a little more close range or something. But I'm still not upset. I still really like the Hellstorm bolt rifle. I think it's
Dude,
an awesome
still
gun.
imagine like a 4-4 Astartes shotgun hitting on twos that has like blast one. You know, like
Right.
what are we doing? Hitting on twos, blast one? Like,
Right. So like
okay.
either option is still really strong because 4 or 5 damage on Hellstorm bolt rifles are really good.
I'm just
Like
glad you cannot modify melt the bomb. That was the very first
that was
question I asked. I literally were sitting there reading the rules. I was like, yo, can you give melt the bomb your melt the bomb plus
yes,
one?
you cannot do it to
You
melta
cannot do
bombs and
it.
you cannot do it to explosive grenades from the universal rules list.
Correct.
Yes. Oh, and you can't give blast to a weapon that has torrent already. So,
Yeah.
so you can't make this torrent weapon a blast. It's important.
We have Bombard Veteran next.
Yeah, so this is your other Gravis, one of the other Gravis models. So if you look at his profile and his weapon, his shell shot has a 5/7 with piercing 1. He has the 4/5 with torrent 2, which if you kind of look at it, 4/5 is pretty strong and will take out most elites. Like if you're playing into models that have 21 wounds, like on average, so something closer to Raveners, this guy might just be a little bit better because you don't have to rely on the Melta Bomb to get that shot off. You can do a 5/7 piercing shot from far, which can might help you out. So that's the place I'd probably take the Bombard, but most of the time, again, like the other guy can just sort of do the job for you.
Yeah, still 5/7, and you could just give it like severe or something like that.
It's pretty
Really,
strong.
it's really strong. It's basically like a long range melt gun.
Yeah, and even though I'm saying the Breacher is very strong and maybe like the best Gravis guy, there isn't a single Gravis guy you couldn't take that wouldn't do the job really well. They're all still going to do the job really well.
Absolutely, especially with 5-inch move, 18 wounds. They're going to all be relatively difficult to take out.
Yeah, they tank.
Before we go into the ones that you've actually painted and the reasons why, oh well, we'll talk about hobby afterwards. But the reasons why you chose these ones. We have the Blade Master up, which is one of the ones. If I was painting the team, if I was doing it, I would have dropped any of these guys for this guy, right? Like I'm colorblind, right? I'm colorblind, and I like the green Xenophase blade. Like the Imperium. They sanctified it. They said it was okay. Now they can use it.
Only for them though. Only
This
only only
model
only Inquisition.
is nutty. This model is nutty. Nutty.
Yes, he has a crazy ability. So first, his weapon is a Xenophase blade. You're going to notice he has dual and phase sweep. Both have brutal, both have lethal 5, and then one has the phase sweep rule, which we'll get to in a second. He's got the special issue bolt pistol, so he has piercing 1. Awesome. He's got pretty good weapons. So let's go ahead and start with adaptive swordsmanship. So whenever he can ignore his changes to his hit stat when he's fighting dudes, which is always really nice. And you can also resolve one of your successes before the normal order. It must be a block. Now, so what this means, let's say you roll your 5 dice, your opponent rolls their 5 dice. And let's say you're fighting. Before it happens, you can take one of your dice and block. Then now the normal order starts, and it's still you first. So then you can block again or something, right? Some combination. So
You
this
could
is
parry
very
their
good.
only hit
Parry
first
their
and then
only
kill
hit
them.
first, and then
Or if
just
they
take them
hit
out.
twice, you could parry, and then murder them.
Yeah, this is exactly like the adaptive swordsmanship is great. It's even better into like weaker models, like 10 or less wound guys who usually only have about 3 attacks each,
Mhm.
because then you could just parry them out. Like they're not going to do this. And then we have phase sweep. So this is one of the cool things about this that goes into adaptive swordsmanship. So let's say you're fighting, you charge a bunch of dudes, everyone is in your control range. You use the phase sweep. You can fight each one of these guys for one fight action. So if you do it all until you're dead. So if you fight a bunch of small horde guys, you parry them out, kill one, parry them out, kill one, parry them out, kill one. You can just do crazy damage with the phase sweep. Um, he is definitely, bringing in, he's doing his spin to win tactics. Was that Garen from League of Legends was the spin to win? Yeah, he's
And
spinning to
Darius,
win right there.
objectively better.
Yeah. Into weak models, he just beats them up. Into strong ones, though, he still has the regular dual mode for the blade, which is 4/6 brutal 5 lethal 5. It's still, and he gets more attacks on that one too. Sorry,
I think.
so
Oh,
he's 5.
hold on. Let me prove that Darius is better. Hold on. Hold on.
Okay. Oh, he's going for the reasoning, which I get, right. It's because he's a Darius fan.
No one ever gets to see this particular photo in our from the streams or in our studio. So let me just show you a piece of art that I really enjoy. Right? We have
Dunk Master.
yeah, Dunk Master Darius right here. He's the homie. Um, he's up on my wall permanently because he is the love of my life. I'm sorry, wife.
Hey, honestly, I know a few people who got the Dunk Master poster. They really do love him.
Yeah,
I have a buddy who even cosplayed as him. It was great.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's just something about him, I just like he's just very satisfying to play. Okay,
Cool
so
character.
we have up next we have the Deathwatch Aegis veteran. Let's put this guy
Yay!
on
So
here
that will
first.
be, yeah, that guy. There you go. Yeah. So those who are watching this on YouTube, you get to see the model. It's painted right there. It's a red scorpion. So this is the Deathwatch Aegis veteran. He's got a bolt pistol. He's got a power maul and storm shield, and he's got the classic storm shield rule. So he can double parry with his thing, just like when Dueler was a thing for Angels of Death. He has the power maul, which has the shock ability, so he can, he gets a crit off. He removes one of your opponent's things, so further making sure you go,
Oops.
your opponent doesn't get to hit back. He reduces piercing by 1, and it can go to 0. So if you have a piercing 1 weapon, it becomes 0. He's got a 2-up save, which is he's a very defensive model, and you can sort of play aggressive with him because a power maul is still 4/6 damage. Um, and I used him in the battle report. I think I could have used him more efficiently, but you'll still see how he can be played. Like, I was thinking in my head, you could set up kind of a barricade for your opponent to sort of funnel in, and he could just
Mhm.
be there as this giant wall that comes in and starts smashing house and stopping you from doing anything. It's very, very strong. I
Yeah,
love this little guy.
yeah. The fact that this guy basically has Duelist from AOD,
Hmm.
is really strong. It's really good, and he's essentially the guy that you want to throw into, um, the legionary leader, or somebody like that. Like the fact that he just gets to every time he blocks is just really strong. I mean, there's a reason why they removed it from AOD,
I
right?
get
And
it. It's
this
very
guy
cool.
has it, right?
Yeah. I know we chose red scorpions for this one, for those who are watching and can see the reason, because a homie Janice said, "Hey, you have a red scorpion, right? Like, you're gonna make one." And originally, I wasn't, but our other friend who I had asked to pick one had chosen a pauldron that wasn't in the kit. So when the
Hmm.
renders came out, they're like, "I want that one," and I was telling, that doesn't fit on this guy's arm. Sorry, we can't use this one. So then I went, I was just kind of reading around, and that came up, and I thought, all right, well, I'm going to throw a red scorpion in. Why not? And that's how
Yeah.
the red scorpion was chosen.
I still cannot believe you waited until they released the
It was easy
the
because the
kit.
pauldrons were like could be done at the end, even though the pauldrons took
Yeah.
me like a few
Dude,
hours
I
each.
would have had so much anxiety. The fact that you waited to the last minute to do the Polgens, I've been like, oh, well, I would have already known. I would have went Power Rangers with them. Next up, we have the Sergeant, who
Ah,
you,
yes, the watch
for
sergeant.
some reason, on this green Earth, you chose a Lamenter model. A
I
Lamenter.
sure did. The Blood Angels successor chapter, the Lamenters, the Sad Boys. So let's go over this guy real fast. He's got a plasma pistol and he's got a power sword, which is, again, it's a plasma pistol and a power sword. Which, for people who play a bunch of Astartes, know that this does not normally exist. This is a very, very strong combination, and he can shoot that plasma pistol twice. But it gets even better. He has the ability to let you take an extra equipment, which is always awesome. You could just, the thing you were going to take, now you have it. And he lets you do one firefight play and one strategic play for free once per battle. So, like, it just saves you on command points, essentially giving you 2 more and an equipment. It's great, you know. And so the reason we chose Lamenters was because the homie Alex Popov, I said pick one, and he said I like that heart one. Well, how about that one? And in fact, you're going to notice that a lot of these were picked by him because I asked him to pick all of them except one. So
You asked the guy who doesn't care about lore.
at,
Shout out to Alex Popov. Jesus.
And so then we did Lamenters, and I thought it was a fun challenge. I've never painted Lamenters, so that was cool.
I will still never paint Lamenters. You could have chosen the Griffins. You could have chose so many chapters.
Mhm.
Okay, sorry. Okay, we're gonna move on.
Lamenters are cool. They're sad boys, so why not have a sad boy sergeant?
Sad boys, I think, are like the Raven Guard. I think they're the emo sad boys. Next up, we have Batman. He's Batman because he has double antennae. You know.
That's right. He's kind of has like a little.
Let's see if I can get a
Batman
more
headbutt.
of a
Close up right there. So this is the Disruptor Veteran. This is essentially your Phobos support model on crack. So he's better stuff. So let's start with the Advanced Omni Scrambler. It's the regular Omni Scrambler you know and love, but now you get to do D6 turns instead of equal to the amount of infiltrators, which means he himself can really do, can shut down whole teams on his own. He does still have to be within 6 or be visible to them, right? So you still have to do that, but if you can do it, it's a really good way to slow some models down. In addition to that, he lets you use the advanced aspect scan for free. He does not need to be the main target. So as long as he can see the model to do the ability, he can activate it while, let's say, a marksman decides to shoot. And the marksman then can get saturate and can ignore obscuring. So he's a big guy you want to combo with your ranged weapons. Or you want to slow somebody down for a melee attack. So let's say your hammerman, your demolisher wants to charge in. He can come in and shut someone down from activating. Then your demolisher can go charge him and beat him up.
Now, Giacomo, you painted these guys very well, very nicely, very nicely.
I appreciate it. And so Silver Bulls, I believe they're called Silver Bulls. Really, what happened was we didn't pick this one. I guess we'd forgotten, and I was like, oh, I just need to pick something, but I didn't know what to take. I didn't want to do Ultramarines for this guy. I actually want to do Ultramarines for the Plasma Man. So I just kind of looked up chapters, and I like this one. I chose that one. Yeah.
Perfect Raven Guard. It's disappointed. Okay. Next up, we have
the Horde Slayer.
Horde Slayer Veteran. Let's grab
this. So this one, he's got a flamethrower. You make him a salamander. I feel like it's pretty generic, but I'm going to do that till I die. I did it back when I had my old Deathwatch kit, like when they were little guys. I did that then. I'll do it now. Doesn't matter. All right. So he's got the Infernus Heavy Bolter, one of the classic weapons from the team. It's awesome because you have the ability to fire your heavy bolter, which 4 or 5 damage with piercing crits, has torrent, is always nice. In addition to that, you have the Infernus flamer portion of the weapon, which hits on 2s, has 5 attacks, decent damage, and you can slap, like, let's say you slap some devastating wounds on that. You're hitting on 2 with burning dudes. That's real strong. With 3/3 damage, it'll take somebody out. And let's say then you can go on guard with this if you're in Gallowdark, so your things have a lethal 5, saturate, and torrent 2. Like, it's nuts how good this guy is into small bodies, into medium bodies, decent into elites, decent, maybe not the best one. But
you could also give it. I think one of the best things to give this one in particular is devastating.
Yeah,
especially on ITD.
Hitting on 2s, man. Like, just take it every time if you're in a Gallowdark / Tomb World setting. I think he might just be a little bit.
Then you have Dev 1, and on average, like all your crits are doing 4 damage.
It's nuts. Your opponent will die. Most likely. Take him a lot. 18 wounds. He's resilient.
I did my best not to get shot by this guy.
And you did a great job. I only got to shoot him once. So, that's very good.
I can be cagey. Right? I also don't have very many models. So
you don't. Yeah. So you had to be specific. Now, if you had more Horde guys, you might be able to throw some dudes his way, but he is the Horde Slayer. So and he's all about that.
They would just die. Next up, we have our final model for the Deathwatch.
That is the Marksman Veteran.
This is the model that I believe I hate the most.
Yeah, so we'll quickly cut
in a good way.
Why he is disliked by opponents, I should say, disliked by opponents who have to see what he does. So he has Vigilant Marksman. So what this means is he can go on guard in any terrain type. It doesn't just have to be into the Dark or Tomb World, and no close quarters required. But in addition to that, if he's in Tomb World or in Gallo Dark, and he goes on guard and takes a shot, after he finishes that shot, he gets to go on guard again. This only happens once after he does that, so once per turning point, that is. So he can't just go on guard, shoot, go on guard, shoot, go on guard, shoot forever. He only does it. It happens once per turning point that he does it. But still, that's very strong. His Stalker bolt rifle is 3-5 damage if he doesn't move or just does his dash only, and he still has the mobile shot, which is still 3-4 damage on a bolter, which can be given special rules. It's still strong. But most of the time, you're probably going to be playing him defensively, getting him ready to defend a point. And if you combo him with the disruptor, you can, really get a lot of stuff out of that. So, highly recommend it. This guy is probably going to go in most of the time, most lists, unless you just don't want to play with guns and you just want to go straight melee. Then that's an option too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There we go. That should help.
Yeah. So that's the marksman. He's great, and Alex Popov also looked at the skull and thought, like, that's a cool thing. Let me take that. And so I like exorcists. I just happen to also enjoy them. So that was kind of perfect that happened. And yeah, exorcists are cool. They get demons in them and then have them exercise so that they're more immune to demons. It's just cool, and I like it. And it has cool little skulls, and we finally, got. Well, I think this is the second time we've had this pauldron, so that's always rad. And,
it is, and you painted it very nicely. This is the one I'm least upset at you about.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of Obi-Wan Kenobi with the head.
I mean, you're not wrong. So next up, we have some faction equipment. Back to vertical cards here.
Yes.
So we have digital weapons up first.
Yes. So this is pretty nice. If you're familiar with Stricken Scorpions, when they charge, they get to do damage. This happens as well. But this is only at the roll attack dice step, and it only can happen once per turning point. So you can't just like fight and then fight again and get this. Just happens once. But that little extra damage might be all you need. So like if your Demolisher is running into an 8 wounded guy, does 1 damage, then hits him with a critical, he's dead. That the little spikes like these damage dots really help. So digital weapons is a pretty good selection if you're unsure of what else to take, especially if you're going to be playing very melee and aggressive. So it's a good one. I give it a 3 out of 5. 3 to 5.
3 out of 5.
I had to give it a rating.
Okay. Is it something you take every game?
No, I probably wouldn't. I don't think I really got as much use out of it as I had remembered. But that's okay. Let's see. Ammunition reserves. This one's cool. So once per battle, when you're using the special issue ammunition ability, you can use it a second time. So that's always great, just in case you need one on a turn. Like I actually need 2 different spots where this has to happen. You can have that happen, which is nice.
All right. I'm going to save the best one for last.
And that one's a 5 out of 5 for me. I think you're always going to take the second
ammunition reserve.
Yeah, I think you're always going to take it. You have the Scrutivore Servo Thrall. I think I said that right. Scrutivore Servo Thrall. So this is cool. So once per turning point, you can have a Deathwatch operative do a mission action for 1 less AP. So it's always nice. Most of the time, that's going to mean 0 AP on a mission action. In addition to that, an enemy operative within its control range doesn't prevent the operative from doing the mission action. But if you do this, you have to roll off with your opponent. And if you lose, your skull dies. So this would be nice if you have an opponents who like are really trying to take a point and they just have more APL than you. You just come in, do this once, and then like maybe your skull dies. That's okay. You only needed to do it once to help you win the game.
Fair.
That's another 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5 actually, pretty good one. And then now you have the best one, the Sanctus 5 Biosquire Cuffs. So once during a friendly Deathwatch activation, before or after they perform an action, if it's not within control range of an enemy operative, they can do one of the following, which they can either heal D3 lost wounds, they can remove any changes that happen to their APL stat, or they can remove one of like a status token such as like poison or terror chem or something like that, or whatever might happen in the future, I guess. That's awesome. Because you're just like here's some debuffs. I'm going to take those debuffs off. You took a little bit of wounds from the plasma pistol shot. Now I healed it back. Or maybe you just got a little bit of a hit. You heal it back, so now you're not injured anymore. They're trying to reduce my APL. No, I'm fine. I have full APL, so I get all 3 to do them again.
I'm poisoned? Not anymore. I took a little bit of
Exactly.
damage, and now I'm not. You know,
Exactly. Um, and again, this is before you perform an action, which if I'm remembering poison correct, happens before you perform the action as well, right?
not
Uh,
before, but technically it happens before you would heal. It does damage first,
right. Okay. I wasn't
according to
sure
the
if that
FAQ.
if that
Yeah.
if that if that happened. Okay. So yeah. So you still might take it, but that's okay because then you remove it. Yeah, I'd rather remove it than having poison on me all the time. Or you could just tank poison and go. I'm just going to heal D3 wounds. I don't even care.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like whatever. You pick your poison. 5 out of 5. Like the Sanctus 5 says, 5 out of 5. Take it every time. There's never a time you shouldn't. Cool trick. If I'm getting this correct, if I'm wrong, you can tell me in the comments. If you take the sergeant and he gives you the extra ammunition, extra
Equipment
equipment, you take it after you've already selected equipment. So if there's any team that want to do some kind of shenanigans to your equipments,
like
this
Gellerpox.
like Gellerpox is the one that comes to mind. You can get around this. So if I'm wrong, please let me know in the
I think so.
comments.
Let
I
me read.
believe that's how it works.
Let me
So
read
that's
it real
just
quick.
one
I'll
way
put
to.
it up for people. I just have
There
to.
you
There's so many operatives in this dang team. You know, I have to find them. Sergeant.
go. Yes. So if that's the case, that's what I'd recommend when you take your additional piece of equipment.
You can select an additional equipment option. It doesn't say when you select it. So you
Right. So
might
that's why.
so you might select it the same time because it doesn't say afterwards or during the scouting step or any of that
That's a
kind of
good
stuff.
point. That's a good point.
So
So unless we get an FAQ on that, I believe that's how it's supposed to work, but I could be wrong. If anyone knows, just let us know in the comments. I'm curious about that.
I'm relatively sure that if you brought Gellerpox and you play this model, and I'd have to look at the operation of things, but if you, I'm pretty sure you select operatives before you select equipment, like 99% sure. That would mean that you would just get an extra additional equipment option, which would allow Gellerpox to be no Bioscire scuffs, no bio Sanctus V Bioscire cuffs for you.
Okay, so
I'm pretty
I
sure.
was just
I'm pretty
curious
sure
if that was one way to get around it because you really do want to have the Bioscryer like all the time.
you do.
It's just like a 5 out of 5, 6 out of 5. It's incredible.
So
Oh, now we got to move to our Xenos counterpart.
I'm gonna have all these guys trying to kill this guy because they can't kill him. He's impossible
For
to kill.
real, I didn't touch him at all. He's a tough model, surprisingly.
Yeah, so they're all fighting him for a little while. Okay. Um, very cool model. I spent about 6 hours painting this model, which was more than I painted on the other models. I really enjoyed playing, painting him. Putting him together was a little rough, but we'll get to that in the hobby. We'll tell you a little bit about them a little later. So first up, we have the Canoptek's special rule, the obelisk node matrix. And yes, there are 2 pages of this, so we will try to get through it. To be honest, there should have been 5 pages based off of this rule. I'm going to make another video about all of the issues that this rule in particularly introduces that is not clarified in the book. It's not clarified in the core rule book. And unless if Games Workshop comes out with an FAQ, these are allowed at LVO. There are some major hiccups, and the way these function, they don't really function in the game correctly, I don't think. But I'm going to make a separate video on that, so look at that. I'm just going to tell you how these work currently, and we'll kind of go from there, right? So, as your strategic gambit, in the first turning point, place 3 of your obelisk node markers wholly within your territory. Okay. I found out that on Into the Dark, I kind of just put them near doors, and then on turning point, so I could open doors, or at least one, and then I kind of set them up near other objectives. You know, I put them one on my own objective, one on the middle, and then one on the other side. You could kind of like really just hardcore force one side and put a bunch of them next to each other. It can create quite a big line. In one point of the game, I did have a really big like line stretching from one side of the board to the other side of the board, which was really fun, unintentional, but cool, right? I enjoyed it. Sometimes you're like, oh, they're within 6. I get a line. That's exciting. And then I used a a strategic ploy that Giacomo thoroughly hates now, and like literally destroyed his life. It was amazing. But we'll get to those. We'll get to that in a second. I made like an energy wall that was very difficult for him to walk through. And he's like, oh no, I'm a Space Marine custode guy and I can't move around. I was like, haha, I'm a dangerous Necron that knows magic. Haha. Okay.
Fun fact, just something to point out since you mentioned magic. I like that we've collectively accepted that in sci-fi magic doesn't exist, but psychic powers are fine.
Yes.
Which is just
Also,
magic.
if you play Magic the Gathering, this team is a blue-black deck. Period. Period. This is, if you played any kind of Magic and you like it, this is a blue-black deck. If you don't play Magic, you don't know what I'm talking about, ignore the last 15 seconds.
Very
So your
controlling.
obelisk, yeah, your obelisk nodes, your markers, right? Control other markers within 1 inch of them that no enemy operatives contest. Okay. So essentially, if they're on a marker, you can control another marker that somebody else isn't contesting, which is nice, right? So you can control them. There is a way that you can tap them with your leader, right? If more than one player would use their obelisk node markers to contest the same one, no obelisk node marker controls it. So if you're playing against another Canoptek team, which would probably be a fun match, Giacomo, you know, like the Ravener v Ravener, I think Canoptek versus Canoptek circles, 2 circles joining each other, right, would be quite a fun matchup, you know, like I'm going to move my node here. I'm going to move my node here. Oh, no, no. You know, it'd be
It's a
quite
Venn
fun.
diagram fight. I love it.
Yeah. It's a game of geometry. So whenever one of your obelisk node markers is within 6 horizontally of another obelisk node marker, those markers and the area between them create an obelisk node matrix shown above, right? So, shoot, I might have played a lot of things wrong. I'm going to have to reread some of these things because I think the other ones are just nodes, and that's the matrix.
There's a lot on this. There's a lot happening for this team.
Okay, so there are some issues with obelisk node matrix and how it functions. For instance, it doesn't say it has to be flat. It doesn't say it has to be straight. Can it be curved, Giacomo?
Sure. It doesn't say it can't.
You know, don't bad faith interpret them. All these lines are straight. I'm relatively sure they're supposed to be straight. But it's besides the point. Those markers and the area between them create an obelisk node matrix above and below. In other words, their height in the kill zone is irrelevant. If all 3 of your obelisk node markers fulfill this, it creates a larger combined obelisk node matrix. Okay? Whenever a friendly Canoptek Circle operative is in your obelisk node matrix, weapons on the data card have accurate 2 weapon rule and get a +1 to its APL stat. So Giacomo, okay, I'm just rereading this again, right? You only get accurate 2 and APL of 1 when there's a line?
When the matrix exists, correct.
Well, we didn't play that right. That's okay.
Oh, that's okay. It's okay. I didn't catch it either, so not a big deal.
Yeah. That's what it seems like. So essentially you only get this bonus if you're in or around the matrix, right? So that is the thing.
Yes, the matrix is very important.
It is very important. It's very important for the heart and soul of the team, right? Yes. So essentially you want to have them within 6. Very good. Very good. So next up, we're going to talk about some strategy ploys. We'll try to burn through these as fast as possible. We have cryptographic repulsion, you know. We might have played it right. I don't remember. It's okay. Once per action, when the first time an enemy walks into or moves within your obelisk node matrix, noting that has to be the little triangles and lines, right? The distance is treating as an additional +1 inch. Note this means that enemy operatives that don't have sufficient move distance at the end of that move cannot move within your obelisk node matrix. Okay. This is the thing that I did to screw Giacomo over. I made it so that his counteracts, I was like, yo, you can't, nope. You know, that's what happened. Next up, we have trans-dynamic amplification, right? So if my node if whenever a normal homie is shooting, if your obelisk node matrix is intervening, or the target is wholly within your node matrix, that friendly operatives has the ceaseless weapon rule. I did use this one quite a few times in the game. It only came up so many times because you didn't really get into my matrix until turning point 3 and turning point 4. But I think that's probably going to be on average, unless you're playing against like Felgor or something like that.
Right,
something that's like
want to close the gate.
Yeah, hyper aggressive. Next up, we have hyper shielding. This gives you ceaseless rerolls if you're within your node matrix, right? You know, maybe these do allow you to get within one of just the node. It really should be just the node or the matrix itself, but everything is referencing to a reference of matrix itself. We'll have to, if you guys can read better than Dakotah's dyslexia, then by all means, I read these things about 20 times, 15 times before I'm ready for an event, Okay. We have Soul Drain coming up next. Soul Drain's pretty good. Basically, models that are fighting within your obelisk node matrix subtract 1 from the damage stats of those enemy operatives' melee weapons. I use this almost every round, and Giacomo refused to fight me in melee.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one turn I didn't do it, he fought me in melee.
I would have fought you in melee with 1, but you got to disappear before I could counteract hit you. So
made me very upset. I'm not gonna lie, made me very upset.
But it's a strong ability. Like it's kind of a hard counter to melee operatives.
It can be if you use your node matrix correctly. Next up, we have a nodal response. Use this Fireflight ploy during a Canoptek Circle operatives activation before or after it performs an action. You can either change one of those strategic ploys you used during this turning point for only pay an additional CP if it costs more, or use a strategy ploy, pay its CP cost as per normal. This one kind of lets you be more reactive, kind of like I was telling you, they're reactive. Also, as you can see, a lot of these strategy ploys are very just reactive in general, right? Mm-hmm. They're like, hey, come to me, fight me. I'm here. Okay, you want to stay away? I'm going to shoot you through my matrix. Hey, you going to come fight me in my matrix? I know Neo.
And that's one of the first instances where you can change a strategic play, I think. I've never seen that before. That's cool.
I think Warp Coven have something, or it was last edition where they could change one of their secondaries. I think.
I feel like they would be the one to do it if someone were to get it.
Yeah,
but it's cool that these guys have it now.
Yeah, they're both magic guys. Sacrificial Thrall, definitely use this. There's one point where Giacomo was like, "I'm going to shoot your leader," and I was like, "No, you're not." It's just get down, Mr. President. Yep. We have obelisk animate obelisk nodes next. This is probably your second best or your third best if you like Sacrificial Thrall a lot. I think Sacrificial Thrall is very, very good. Animate obelisk node matrix. There is a piece of equipment that effectually makes this so that you don't have to spend command points to do it. You can move all of your things up to 6 inches, or you can move 6 inches, right? I used this in the game once and only once. It was very good. It was very clutch when I used it. It really can catch your people people off guard, right? Especially with loot or other things that you're being forced to do things. If this team had plant beacons, I believe that you could use plant beacons as well as just a mission action, right? All sorts of stuff, but they don't have access to recon, so yeah, it is what it is. And finally, the best one is Just a Scratch. They have Just a Scratch. Why do they have Just a Scratch? I don't know, but they have Just a Scratch and they have Get Down, Mr. President. So I definitely use this This kept my, I think I used it on both of my big guys. You know, I would have used it on my leader too. I always made sure I kept one just in case every turning point, in case I needed to use shield flare, in case Giacomo was trying to do something crazy, crazy,
Yes.
crazy. So next up, we have our operatives here. I will remove the Xenos slaying guys.
The watch is dead.
Oh, I don't know if they're dead. They're just taking a break, a coffee break. Now, this is going to be a little bit of an ordeal just to get through the Geomancer because there's 3 cards for him. Okay. Yes, this is the first operative on planet Earth that's ever had 3 operative cards. Geomancer actions are printed on their own cards. Why, you might ask? Because he does so much stuff that he has to have 3 cards. It's a lot. It's a lot. So first up, he has Tremor Glaive, 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, 4/5 damage, piercing 1, piercing crits 2. Cool. He also has Quake, and this is 6 attacks, hitting on 3s, 1/3 damage, blast 2, seek light, and stun. For his melee, he has a sweep ability, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 4/5 damage, severe shock and stun. Pretty devastating in close combat, right? Because you can just start shocking things and stunning things away. He is rather good. I don't think he's particularly great into Deathwatch melee, right? But against a lot of other teams, hey, he's great. Great in melee. Not
Yeah.
against Deathwatch. Keep him out of melee. You know?
Decent
That's
stats.
that's my personal opinion. Okay. Next up, he has obelisk node control. So the obelisk node marker, right? It is saying that your operative can move a marker onto a mission marker, and then you would be able to tap it. You cannot do plant beacon. I apologize, but you can go and tap it. Right. Let's see if I can make it a tad bit bigger for everyone. So you can tap it with this operative because this operative is controlling it, right? This operative can also open a hatch from across the table. And I don't believe that this costs any particular like APL. So he can only operate 1 hatch per turning point. Right. So he can do that, but he could also tap a point, right? So he has 3 APL, right? Over here, we can see 3 APL, 6-inch move, 3 up save, 14 wounds. So he can do all this already. So he can open a door and tap a point. You're going to start seeing where he's going to start cooking because we got 2 more cards to go through, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a
Okay.
lot.
Yeah, we have Geomantic Disturbance, right? So this is a 1 AP activation. Select a point on the terrain feature that must be visible to and within 8 inches of this operative. You can be on conceal. As long as you see a piece of terrain within 8 inches of you, you get a roll 2d6 for each operative within 2 of that point. You don't even have to see them, right? If the result is higher than this operative's remaining wounds, inflict damage equal to the difference. So for instance, you could select a piece of terrain where there are 5 veteran guardsmen standing behind them or blooded models, and you could roll 2 dice. You could roll 6, right? And you automatically do 5 damage or double 6s. You could do 5 damage to every single one of those markers. It's a great way to kill those pesky little Gellerpox guys that are hiding in super conceal. This gets around super conceal. This operative cannot perform this action while it has the conceal order. Okay, there you go. You can't do it on conceal or while within control range of an enemy. So it has to be on engage. We figured it out.
This is great against ratlings. You just run up there thinking they're super concealed. You can't touch them. Just blow the terrain they're hiding behind. They die because they got 6 wounds. So
or you injure them at least if you roll 9, or you're at least doing 1 damage to them for 1 AP to a bunch of them, goodbye puppy, crazy.
Because I've noticed rattling players like to stay in a spot and you blow up the terrain feature.
Yeah, they're just professional campers.
Yeah,
I heard that they like going to Camping World.
REI guys.
Yeah,
REI, I think is the brand.
So this is Canoptek Control is essentially, what is that called? What is the counteract thing that the other guys have, Giacomo? What is
Oh,
that called?
network counteract.
This is better network counteract because you don't have to spend your counteract. You just look at a dude within 6 inches and you're like, hey, do this again.
Kind of
Now
like my will be done, you know.
I misused this in the battle report. I had a model who I healed and then I resurrected because Giacomo kept killing it or kept trying to kill it. He finally killed it. Then I resurrected it. Then I used my leader to walk over and be like, hey, dude, heal him again. You can't do that. I am aware. I get it. Okay. I didn't know it last night.
It's okay. It
But,
happens.
you know, this is really good because you can use a model to move more like 2 inches. You can, I think the very first time I used it to move a model so that I could use 2 AP. It's only 2 APL to open one of the doors, right? What else did I do with this? You could use it to shoot again with your trans-dimensional locator thing, right? Um, there's some crazy tech I'm going to tell you some guys that I figured out after the game, and it's going to have to deal with Canoptek Control as well. Okay, so next up, where's the third one? There's the third one. We have the strongest ability that this model has is Molecular Breach. It is a support ability, so you can take the comms device, right? Which I did not do, but you could take the comms device and any model within 9 inches of this operative, it is 6 unless you take the comms device, right? Any model within 9 inches of this, you can select them for 1 AP, right? Or if it's in your node matrix, support doesn't apply to this selection, right? For the node matrix one. And the next time that operative would move, you're allowed to teleport it up to its move stat. That's what this whole thing is saying. Up to its move stat. If it's performing a charge action, it does not get the additional +2, right? You cannot do it for falling back because you can't do it while within control range, right? So there are some caveats, but something you can do that I didn't think about, you could move a model at the beginning of the game, right? You could set up a model and then you could use this model as your last activation and you could use Molecular Breach on that model, right? And then you could just sit him there waiting the whole turn to teleport and you could start this model again and use Molecular Breach again, right? Or, God, there's so much to do. Or you could essentially wait a turn, and as long as that model doesn't move, he still has Molecular Breach on him, right? So then you could have, by the beginning of turning point 3, you could have 3 guys who could just teleport wherever they want. And then you could be like, okay, I'm going to teleport this guy, and I'm going to use I'm going to use my one-shot wonder gun, right? I'm going to use that. And then on your next activation, you could then teleport your Geomancer to be behind him and be like, hey, Canoptek Control, shoot that gun again. Cool. And now I'm going to use my thing and I'm going to shoot this guy for my 3rd activation and my 4th activation. Then I'm going to use Geomantic Disruptant and shoot somebody again. And then I'm going to move and then I'm going to dash away, because I have 4 APL. I'm within my, you just go crazy with the amount of things that you can think about and the things you can do with this team. And I started to unlock the sauce, like if I was an Italian chef, I started to cook on turning point 4, I was like, oh yeah, I got this. What's up? This is not an Italian accent. But I started to definitely cook on turning point 4. I started figuring out some stuff. Giacomo, would you say that I became, a Brooklyn chef? You know what I'm saying, man? I just start cooking here. Turning point 4. I just figured out at the end.
I believe you became a chef at the final turning point. That's when everything started to click. All the ingredients came together.
Yeah. I just forgot to add salt at the beginning. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and once you kind of know these rules, you can. So many things you could do. It's crazy.
Absolutely. So here's a close-up shot of the model. Next up, we're going to talk about the Necrocyte, the Macrocyte Warriors. These guys are pretty awesome. I would say.
Yay, little bugs. And again, all new sculpts for the team. This is the first time I think they've been released that I can recall.
Absolutely. So the warrior sites, the macro site warriors, they have 2 APL, 7-inch move, 4 up save, and 7 wounds. These models are expendable. So if they die, they don't count towards the kill op. And you can spend a strategic gambit in order to have them keep coming back. This was extremely critical in my game against Giacomo. If you watch it, you'll find out why, right? I got a couple of them nuked off the board real early, you know, and I was able to have them come back, and they came back on the other side of the board. So I was able to reinforce a side that I was losing. I think that makes it so, like, sometimes you might want a model to die so you could reinforce the other side. They have a 7-inch move, right? It's pretty strong. You know, you get to set them up as a strategic gambit, and then you can just straight charge somebody that's too close to you. You know, it's really pretty good. And when they die, they explode. They hit on their 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 3-4 damage, right? If you can move them into your matrix node, then they'll get accurate too with either piercing or blast. You can pretty much keep them on engage, you know, as long you want to keep a couple of them alive, you know. But they have this, a ceaseless scuttling. So during a strategic gambit, you can have them come back to life. They have aggressive defense, which specifically says this operative is incapacitated by an enemy operative within 2 of it. Roll 1d3 on a 2-up. Inflict damage on that operative equal to the result. I think I could have done this during the game. I did not do this. Maybe. It's a maybe. We have
once during the sergeant, I think you could have done it
once,
against the sergeant.
Possibly. Yeah. Yeah, so this was a very useful model. It is probably the second best model on the team. I think it goes leader, and then it goes all of your macrosite warriors. I think they're very strategically viable, and you get to choose which gun you're going to do, which will help you into either hordes or, I mean, I didn't find very much success shooting with them because hitting on 4s isn't great, but charging and attacking them with them, doing damage, and then having them blow up and doing additional more damage is very useful.
Yes.
Next up, we have the accelerator. Okay, well, I accidentally put the accelerator up there. That's how hard they are to tell apart. Oh, I'm not going to lie, I also had the reanimator up there. These were the 3.
Actually,
I'm not going to lie.
They kind of look a little similar, so I could see that as they get a little.
These are the warriors. There we go. They all have the same gun up top, and they all have little scythes and stuff like that. That was my bad. Next up is the accelerator. The accelerator has this little gun Y thing on the top of his back. You know,
he charges up the batteries of your other guys. He accelerates them.
He sure does. He has lethal 5, 3 attacks hitting on 4s. He's not a great shooter. He's not a great melee guy. In fact, his real purpose is to stun enemies and to overcharge your enemies and by giving them +1s. I did use this a lot until Giacomo revealed that he had contain, you know, and then I was like, okay, well, this guy is no longer going to buff any of my team. I'm just going to go try to deny it with this guy. That's all I can do, right? So this was he also has a 7-inch move. So if you need to do something like that, feel free to jump this guy away or any of your other warriors. He still has a gun. He can still stun, you know? Yeah. So pretty cool. Pretty good guy. Next up, we have the reanimator. This one is the guy with the ball.
Yep.
On top of him, he has the atomizer beam, which is pretty decent. 4 attacks hitting on 4s, 3-4 damage, range 6, lethal 5. Not terrible, right? Claws, he has pretty decent claws. And then this model is allowed to reanimate your operatives, right? Within 6, which is actually a really large range. I was able to hide this model, and then you killed one of my Canoptek tomb crawlers, and I was able to bring him back to life. He also had a lot of times where he could heal, right? The thing that you need to be aware of is that this last sentence, it cannot be, you cannot heal a model that was resurrected. It's the same as every other,
Medic
the
type
same as
thing.
every other medic. Dakotah didn't read that last sentence.
It's okay.
So I did heal a model, but it didn't change anything objectively. He only healed him for like 3 or 4, I think.
Yeah, not enough to matter, so it was fine.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a very cool model. He's also pretty good. And then finally, we have the 2 big homies coming up next. These are the tomb crawlers, and the thing that you will notice with them is they have a 5-inch move, and they are just tankier Gravis Marines. 21 wounds, 3 attacks, and your healer can heal your guys for 3d3. If they don't die in 1 activation, you can use your leader. So you can use your healer to heal a guy 3d3, right? And then you could use your guy to be like, hey, do it again. And then you can heal him another 3d3, right? Like in the same turning point. Like you could be aggressive with these guys, you can heal them up, and then if they still die, then you can bring them back to life, and then the enemies might not have enough to kill them, right? They get accurate too if they're within your matrix. They're a weapon sentinel, so if they are on conceal behind light terrain, it doesn't matter, but they still get cover. And then you have dimensional banishment, which is my favorite rule on these models. If you want to see if it went off, you have to watch the battle report. Yes, this is just an advertisement for our battle reports. That's all it is.
Of course.
The transdimensional isolator, which is the 1-shot wonder gun, is 5 attacks, hitting on 4s, 5, 6 damage with dimensional banishment. If you do damage or you do a critical and it deals damage to enemy models, and you roll 2d6, then you would roll 2d6 if you have greater than the target's remaining wounds, right? That operative is incapacitated. Interesting thing, Felgor, when they're dimensionally banished, they don't banish. They're still there because when they incapacitate, they stay on the board, unlike every other faction.
Right, which is odd because lore-wise, I assume it's literally sending them to a banishment dimension, so they should just disappear.
Yeah, the transdimensional isolator, I imagine, is similar to the technology that the Eldar have, which is called the D weapons, the dimensional weapons. They tear holes into. Hey, you got a little close there. They tear holes into the fabric of reality, banishing creatures into the warp. I imagine these are very similar weapons. Yeah. So it's a very cool gun. It's very good. I really enjoy it. You can also shoot it twice a turn with your leader, but your leader really has to pick and choose, because if he's starting to take a lot of damage, maybe it's better to heal him and get a second shot off next turn, right? We also have Steadfast. When determining control of an objective marker, you treat this operative as 3. This takes precedence over all the rules, meaning that any changes to its APL stat are ignored for this. That is very important because they don't want this operative to essentially have a 4 APL stat if it's standing on a matrix in the near node in its matrix on an objective. It's hard to get out. I'm not going to lie. It was rather difficult. I really enjoyed painting these guys. I took a lot of time in them, and I thought they were pretty fun. Giacomo,
I think it's cool.
Thank you. You're the one that convinced me to bring it back. You know.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
So, faction equipment. Let's not forget that.
Let's do the equipments real quick.
That is the wrong slide. Here it is. So we have awakened obelisk nodes. This allows you to, at the beginning of the game, when this is revealed, you roll D3, right? And then you get to use your animate obelisk node a number of times for free for 0 CP, a number of times during the battle. Remember, the animate nodes is a firefight ploy. That is really important because the other special thing about about this, which we did play wrong. I only used it once, but essentially this counts as an activation, right? You may move any number of your obelisk node markers instead. They can move up to 6 combined, and where is it? You can also move them 0. In any case, so you skip an activation, and in any case, your enemy activates as normal afterwards. Now, you just would have been able to go on guard and then kill my model that I charged you anyways, which would have happened. You just would have killed another expendable. It is what it is.
Which is what's nice about those expendable models. You could be like, they're going to skip their activation, so I can do this instead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have the Matrix Manipulator. Now, this is an interesting one. This is your Geomancer. He can turn himself into an obelisk node marker for an activation or a counteraction once per battle. Now, this is interesting because we have this thing that says this is what your little node matrix looks like. It's a 20 millimeter wide thing that is just under 6 inches. Don't ask me why it's just under 6 inches, but it is. It is not exactly 6. Your leader's base is 50 millimeters. These do not fit. This would become 50 millimeters from here. So it would become super fat. So you would get, if it's relevant, if you don't have enough move or something like that, you could like move up your transdimensional isolator into this super fat area if you didn't have enough movement to get there, and then you'd be inside your fat node matrix, right? Because this model for one activation has a really thick one, or if he's part of your node matrix, you just give him 4 AP, which is probably what you're actually going to use it for. But just so you know, that is an interesting interaction with the matrix manipulator. We have the Nano Scarab Caskets. I think this is a take every single game, no matter what. Whenever a Canoptek Circle operative is activated, it regains D3 lost wounds. This is another way to heal your big guys. Your big guys are very tanky and very hard to take out. I had a guy, my big guy took a crack grenade and 2 overcharged plasma shots before he died.
Yeah, he was tough to crack.
No, sorry.
And that was with
four,
rerolls.
Four overcharged plasma shots, not 2, 4. Crazy. We have the Nano Scarab. That was that one. Okay, sorry.
Low.
And then finally, we have the Phase Shifter. Note that this only affects the Geomancer. You can effectively use this rule to ignore piercing 1 against your Geomancer, which is your leader, which is another way just to keep him safe. If Giacomo would have somehow figured out how to shoot my leader, right, I would have been able to ignore his piercing 1 from his overcharged plasma gun, and then I would have also, I would have been like, I'm also not going to take one of those damages, Giacomo, so this is a very, very strong thing.
It's very, very
all
powerful.
Right. It is. So let's go to the, the hobby section of this, G.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite model to paint? And we will talk about that model first.
The Marksman.
Is it because you just painted his face like a Gerard Butler, like a really handsome man?
So whatever makes you, whatever.
Ryan Reynolds
guy.
Ryan
he was
Reynolds.
Also the model I finished at 3:08 a.m. So like I was proud at 3:08 a.m. and I was like, all right, I'm proud of this guy. He was probably one of my favorites to paint just because he was technically my second model to finish, but at this point I kind of refined what I was doing for sure now, so it was a lot smoother in putting it together. And I do want to note that this model, the joint where the arm and the bolter connect is a little tougher, so you kind of have to press it in like when you're putting it together and gluing it. So just be aware of that. At first, there's a small gap, but if you press it in while holding the glue down, it will hold. So just be aware of that for this model, and I'm pretty sure that'll affect the plasma gunner as well. Just make sure to press into it so you can get a more smooth seam transition.
Now, now, Giacomo, there is a thing that you complained about pretty heavily about this team, which I would have complained as well.
Yes.
Um, why don't you tell us that? Because then I can tell you my experience with Canoptek.
Sure. So back to that part where I mentioned to pushing in, I was giving you a soft answer. We'll give you a bit of a harder answer now. This sculpt is designed to fit on a certain part of the chest and it secures and sits itself in, right? Cool. There's nothing wrong with that, right? It should just fit in. But for whatever reason, it doesn't quite get there without like it having to be slightly off the model. You can't see it now because it's covered by the pauldron, but where that hand is, it's not exactly on like the side of the model. It's a little like forward, but again, you can't really see it because of the pauldron. And that's the part where I was referring to, like you have to kind of press it in there. So just be aware of that when you're hobbying. If you're wondering, you're not doing it incorrectly. It's just a little strange, but once you put the pauldron, like you see right here, there's no problems. You can't even tell. And the underside of the gun, make sure to press that too, where the hand connects to the bolter.
Yeah, there's a
That's a
rather
little.
large gap down there before
There
you're
was a
able
rather
to.
large gap in the beginning, but once you press it in, it holds it a
No,
lot better.
do you think that's because you sub-assembled these, and perhaps these are such a maybe what Games Workshop is doing with the brand new kits is that they're so precise they want you to glue them together, and because you had two layers of primer in between, it. I mean, that gap was way too big for it in general, but I'm trying to give it the benefit of the doubt,
Right,
right?
like that could have been the reason why, but I was thinking to myself, like, I'm usually pretty good about making thin layers when doing this because this has been an issue before where I've had that, but this was a little bit of a larger gap than I was used to.
I
But
would agree.
thankfully, you can press it into itself and it will hold. So just be aware of that. Um, yeah, so just be aware of that. And if you're doing it, since you're holding glue so close to it, put it near a fan or something so you try to get the fumes away. Because I had a little bit of an issue where the fume kind of went up and I had to repaint part of the black, but it'll be all right. Yeah, but otherwise, the rest of the kit was really easy to put together. Everyone is super detailed, so like as you can see, they pretty much all come with equipment, a bunch of grenades, little gadgets and buttons on their hands or something, like all sorts of stuff. So it's just something to be
You
aware
know,
of when you're this team.
I have a negative about this team.
Hmm.
Every single Deathwatch operative was 16 pieces to put together.
They
16
were at
at
least
minimum, right?
guys. There was
And
dudes that had more.
that's insane. Like
Yeah,
my leader was super fiddly, but he was a 15 piece model, right?
so
And
here's
that
something since.
that was
Mhm.
like the maximum for the Necrons.
And
Like,
here's what you're going to notice since you bring that up: those front parts of the legs, those are not attached on the legs like they usually are with most Space Marines. Like sometimes a Space Marine might have it where you could change it because they're like a leader, but a lot of these guys just didn't have that attached, so you had to put it on, which is interesting. Yeah, it was interesting. It was an interesting one. Um, which, by the way, these five models also came off of one set of sprues. So a set of sprues for this example is 3 sprues, right? And you get 2 sets of 3 sprues, which is if they were to make a box, I assume you get 3 sprues in the box, which would be all 5 guys, one Gravis, one Phobos, and then 3 Tacticus.
mhm.
So I this is literally all the options are right there. That's the leader legs, that's the gunner legs. We have the Phobos legs, the Gravis legs, and then you get another Tacticus legs. So yeah, so these are all that one from one set, so you can see how it's all built. So no
This
one no
top
one had
down
duplicate
camera
bodies.
does no does not make
The,
your model look very good.
no, the
This is a very
detailing is
nicely painted model. And this camera is like, yo, dude, I am not here. Let's see
You
if I
could
can
just
get
put
it.
him next to the
Hold on.
guy.
Hold on. Let's see here. Maybe I can.
I,
Oh,
I
oh,
just don't think it has the big enough sensor to really capture a lot of the data like these other cameras have.
you're not wrong. I mean, it's supposed to be a 4K, right? It's supposed to be
It
like
can
a
be 4K
macro.
resolution, but just not a big enough sensor to capture as much data. Like, and
Yeah.
that's okay because it's still pretty good. And yes, I had a lot of fun painting that guy. He was it's a lot of fun putting together because I like the heads, and that's another cool thing with this hobby with these guys. There's so many options for like individuality. In fact, they had a thing for the office guys who were working on this. They all got to put their stuff together, and a lot of them have parts from different Space Marine kits. that weren't part of the Deathwatch kit. I was trying to do just pretty much the Deathwatch kit. Um,
There
though
we
I
go.
may have to get some non-Deathwatch parts for a few of the guys for certain pauldrons because I'm trying to keep it all sculpted pauldrons for this team because I've already been baiting all the sculpted pauldrons, so why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Oh,
had a lot of fun
absolutely.
and I love Exorcist. So that's one thing to note with this guy is it fits a little weird, but when you get it in, it's pretty secure. You can't even really tell.
So Giacomo, for the painting wise, right? Now that we've talked a little bit of the positives, the negatives of the kit itself, dude, the kit is so immensely. Did you
Dense
make
with
the?
stuff.
Okay, here. Let me see if I can. So this camera did work a little bit for. Let's see if I can get it. Is that the
There you
arm?
go.
No, it's this arm. No,
Yeah,
which guy
yeah.
has the? Which guy
It's
had
that guy
no?
too. That guy too. But it would be the disruptor who has
This guy
the
right here.
yeah. So if you go to the
Like,
disruptor and look under where his silver arm connects, it's going to
yeah,
get
right
really
here.
weird.
No, well, this guy right here has that really nice,
Oh, yeah.
um, a really nice, like, I have never seen Games Workshop have like a little tracking pad with the actual pieces on it and stuff.
Yeah, the little radar actually has it like 3D built in now. It's sculpted on, which is interesting.
Oh, can
Um,
we see the back right here? I'm going to show off. There's a little bit of that gap in the disruptor. Is this one of the ones that had an issue with the?
this one not as much because where the grenade there's a spot specifically for the grenade to attach into the arm, but
Mhm.
when the arm itself connects to the bolter is where the issue is. That's the part
Oh,
that's yeah, that's where the gap is. And I tried to
it,
fix that by pressing it in a little bit, but it still has a bit of a gap. That's
down here.
okay. You don't really notice it
Yeah, you
because
wouldn't
most of
notice
the
it
time
if
the
I
handle's
wasn't
blocking it.
if I wasn't doing this, but it's a harder thing to, and that's
To
just
hide.
the kit. That's just the kit, you know?
Yeah,
So if that happens to you, don't feel bad, right?
yeah, it's not a problem with what you're doing. It's just the way the kit kind of fits. It's a little bit tougher, but I promise you, you won't notice it. In fact, you wouldn't have noticed it had I not mentioned it. This is
Hmm.
just a heads up for people building the kit that you're not going crazy. You're not doing something wrong. It just looks a little wonky. Trust me, it looks fine. It's not an issue at all. Just be aware of that so you're not like discouraged. Like, why is it not looking right? You know. So
So
be aware of that.
walk us through how you painted the black armor and your silver.
So I started with either Chaos Black or I think it's called Raven Black from Color Forge when I did
Hmm.
the primer because at some point I ran out of Chaos Black. And then I used my airbrush. I thinned down some Vallejo AK third gen, which I do enjoy
You
that
mean
color. It's a nice one.
you mean just AK
Uh,
third gen, not Vallejo.
yeah, sorry, I got all my Games Workshop Vallejo AK third gen color, the one from P3. Who knows? So I
Hmm.
did the black, and I got that down smoothly because that's the big part of the armor. It's just a lot of black, so you want that as smooth as you can. There are some parts I had to go over with the brush when I messed up. That's okay. It's still try to keep it as smooth as possible because armor is really important. I for silvers, I decided to go with working metal and non-working metal, and what I'm referring to that is any kind of gun or something that would be more like gear oriented is working metal, so it's a little darker colored. Whereas like the Deathwatch arm or any Deathwatch weaponry stuff, I try to keep more blue to kind of have that like it's a little bit more pristine, kind of like royalty. I don't know what else to call that. Non-working metal and working metal. So we did that, and we just tried to follow similar colors to the box art. It's not exactly because I didn't quite love the red they had, so I went with a little bit different red. Yeah, and then you just painting Space Marines. I love painting Space Marines. It's fun. I like adding color everywhere, especially because on a black model, things can kind of like get in and just sort of be one thing. So it's really important to um, the pauldron. Make sure you knock that out. Make sure the gun looks different. Have gold accents. Things like that are really important, just to help break the monotony of looking at black and silver all the time.
Hmm.
Um, and like the little grenades help. The purity seals help to break it up. And I'm a big sub-assembler guy, so I took forever to paint these things, which is why I definitely stayed up too late many nights just doing this, but it was worth it to me because I love it. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What was your recipe for the silver?
So for the arm, it
The
was lead
arms, the
belcher.
arms. Uh
Yeah,
huh.
it was lead belcher. Honestly, the spray works because the way the spray versus the actual paint pot is very different. The spray is way smoother. And again, like I mentioned, you really want the smooth transition. So when you're going over it with like the thin down contrast I used, whatever thin contrast blue you want. I use Griff Charger, but you could also use like um, There was another blue one. I almost got that one, but I went with Griff Charger. It goes down really smooth. It doesn't really stick to anything because there's no like little micro pieces in the lead belcher paint pot versus the spray. So the spray is really smooth, so it just comes down really nice and it doesn't pool as much. It's really really nice. So I recommend using a spray can for that. And since it's sub-assembly, most of the silver arm is there. I did have to paint on the one from the gun, but again, not really that big of a deal. Yeah, so I recommend going with that, and then taking one of your brightest silvers, whichever one you have. We've done the Hobby Highlander silver before, and I really enjoy that one. I have it on this model as well, which is nice. So you get that kind of bright shine on your silvers, which this team I always feel like should be bright for that arm. It's very, very, very noticeable arm. It's a very important arm.
Absolutely. I'll go over my Necrons real quick.
Yeah.
So the Geomancer, I definitely spent the most amount of time on.
It shows. He's great.
I originally, this particular model, let's see if I can do this particular model, I used, I think Chaos Black. I just sprayed it, right? And then I used a gloss varnish over the black. I could have used a gloss black originally, and then I used AK Chrome through an airbrush, and I painted them all. After that, I used gloss Nolan oil, which is unfortunately no longer produced, but I do have a couple. Thank you, John Boudoir, who gave me a nice pot, a brand new pot of this, of Nolan oil gloss. So I put that all over the model. That kind of gets it into the cracks. It keeps it glossy. It keeps that same sheen, makes it really nice. And then I ended up painting all of the stone and the staff with P3 coal black. I do love that color. It's very similar. You could get the same effect with Incubi Darkness. And then I use, for all of the glow, I used Rakarth Flesh, and then Pallid Witch Flesh, and then white, or you could use two thin coats. I think Griffin Talon, and then Ivory Tusk, and then Trooper White. And then from there, I use Golden High Flows Fluorescent green through an airbrush, and I hit that with that. For the gold, I used Retributor armor, but I felt like when I put it on, it was way too bright. So then I started pulling back the brightness of that with Gilliman Flesh, and I put many coats on I'm doing a true metallic, right? So you're playing with matte, and when you do a true metallic, you're playing with the matte versus what is actually shiny. So you're doing that, you're adding more darkness to some of the areas that aren't catching light. And then I started adding in Vallejo Silver, which is our magic silver. If you guys have not seen our Hobby Highlander series, I highly suggest going to check those out. It is the silver that won. Mix that into the Retributor armor to get brighter and brighter coats. And then I would just like edge highlight, put a little things on, bada boom, bada bing, bada boom, done. For the stone and the staff, I used the P3 coal black, like I said, and then I used more and more AK Spectrum Blue into the mix. Not Spectrum Blue, French Blue into the mix, and I started adding more and more of that. Highlighting it, trying to be chaotic because it's stone. And then I put in very dot highlights with Spectrum Blue. I really like those. We use the same kind of color recipe for our Black Templars that we give away at this past LVO in January. For the actual black section, I used AK Black, and then I would use Smoke Black to highlight, and then I would use Ash Black, and then I started adding in any ice yellow. So you could use Phalanx Dorn, you could use any of the ice yellows from any other brand, and I just would do a little bit extra highlight. For the white was something I'm very proud of. I didn't edge highlight it at all. I used the Rakarth Flesh, or the Ivory tusk from 2 thin coats over the whole thing, and I probably took 4 or 5 coats to cover the chrome, and then very thin, and then I would weather in Rakarth flesh through that's where you can see on the back of this model, um, and then I added Trooper White up front, and I got this really beautiful blend. It just takes patience and going back and forth between the 2 colors, because you do really thin coats, between them. And then if you went a little bit too far, you just go back to the previous color. You glaze it in, and glazing is a very thin version of watering down your paints. Um, and that was a very fun thing to do. I really enjoyed it. For the staff, the green glowing bit of the staff, I used the plasma colors from AK. They come in a set of 4. I just used kind of those, and I highlighted and glazed going from dark to light, and then I edge highlighted with something called greenish white. And once I did that, I took my fluorescent color and I just put that over the greenish white, giving us this really vibrant green. And I'm colorblind. And I, came out
It
pretty
came out
nice,
real
I'd say.
nice.
Let's see if I can grab this guy and maybe get this close up of this. Oh, that's the wrong way.
That's upside down.
It is. Pretty nice
There you
here.
go. Yeah.
You know, I did take the darkest color from this 4K camera's making it look not as good, but I would add in a tad bit of a shadow underneath some of these big ones. Um, Very nice. I'd say it was my favorite model to paint, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. I use the same recipe for a lot of the stone for the Canoptek. Giacomo, you told me something interesting about their lore and why they don't have living metal. Can you tell me why? What it is again?
Yeah, if I recall correctly, these guys aren't technically alive. They're more like constructs built. So the constructs themselves aren't actually the soul, so they don't really have anything to be living metal, which is why they don't have the living metal rule. Instead, they have those little nanobites, nanocyte things that are repairing them, right? That's the thing that's actually keeping them alive. As opposed to living metal, which was odd that the Geomancer didn't have living metal. I thought he would have had that rule like slapped on him, but I guess if you take that equipment, everyone just gets D3, and it's kind of like living metal, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's interesting.
interesting thing. I definitely could not paint all of this nice coal black, which is like a dark greenish blue, I think. Um, Black, green, blue. Um, Over everything. So like this little piece here, right? Up on the on top of here, I had to edge highlight that in black, and I had to use our magic silver to bring back the chrome effect. And I didn't realize how chromy our magic steel was, our magic silver. Um,
It's really shiny.
yeah. So for the basing for this, I used a little bit of epoxy sculpt. I put it on the base to give it some modulation. Then I used a Grillian earth and um, the dune one, whatever the dust, a Grillian dust, agar, whatever the dust one
I
is.
think it is a Grillion Dunes,
Yeah, something
right?
like
The
that.
one that breaks up and becomes kind of
Dune,
crackly.
Dune, I think was too big, but I think I used the smaller one.
Okay.
Well, I mixed those, I put them on the bases, and then I let it dry. I painted them with and then I painted it with Mephiston red, and I used what did I
What
use?
was the pigments, right?
Oh, I didn't use the pigments just quite yet. I used
Oh,
a
okay.
wash, and I used Army Painter's dark tone, and um, I think they're black tone. That is like strong tone and dark tone. I use those in, and I kind of splish them on different areas, and then I kind of slowly mix. I just mix them together all quickly, and that really darkens the Mephiston red to a really nice dark color. Then I dry brush it with Jericho orange, and then I take a little bit of pigments and I put it on the base. Now, the interesting thing that I did with this project that I didn't do that I really loved was I painted the rim afterwards, and then I took the polyurethane ultra matte and I just sprayed, which is a varnish, and I just sprayed the edges of the base to get to make them a little bit more resistant, right? To wear, to touch.
Hmm.
But what that did was it took all of the edge of pigmentation of the pigment that I put on the base, and it made it so that you couldn't see the pigment just on the edges of the base. So the pigment was really centered in the focused in the middle of each base, which I really ended up enjoying. You have to be careful when you're using Ultramat with something like Chrome,
Yeah.
because you don't want those two things to touch, because if those two things touch, your chrome's no longer chrome. It's a weird silver color. You definitely want your chrome to remain gloss. So if you accidentally touch it, if you intend on replicating any of these things, you go back. My last tip for fluorescence is to paint them in off-white colors, with your final highlight being close to white, and then you just put in your fluorescent, whatever color it may be, fluorescent blue, whatever you're trying to do, and then it's just magic, and it works, and it's done. It's fantastic. It's amazing.
That looks great.
Finally, for a hobby, we're gonna go over the terrain.
Ooh,
See if I can do this.
there you go.
See if we can get it in focus. So for the terrain, Saya and I painted all the terrain to this scale. I sprayed everything black, and then from the top down, we did coal black to kind of keep in the same scheme. So we dry brushed from the top, or not dry brushed, airbrushed the coal black to give a gradient going down. If I was going to do this mass produce them, like we probably will, I will skip that particular step. I'll tell you why in a second. Next, we dry brush the whole thing with AK Spectrum Blue, right? Which gives a very nice edge highlight on a lot of things. And then I took a makeup sponge and I got the whole thing. Let's go to a front cam. I put the whole on the wet palette. I put all the paint on a flat surface, and then I just dragged down each surface, and that really kept my AK light earth specifically on just on the outermost surface of this piece, right? Only on the outside. So I just kind of did a nice little like drag across. It got a little bit here, and I'd have to go back in and clean it up with black, right? And that's the reason why, if I was going to do this again, it's really hard to recreate a gradient, right? So instead of doing that, I would just keep it all black and not have the gradient, and just have the dry brush, and then you could go back in and edge highlight again with your Spectrum Blue. From there, it's really just putting 3 or 4 coats of your light earth onto these little areas, right? And then you just use a streaking grime. You paint it on the bottom, right? And then you just feather it. You flip the piece upside down, and you feather it back upwards to the top of it, to the top of your terrain piece. So you would you put a little bit of the streaking grime here, and then you would take your mineral spirits, and then you just slowly drag it down. You bring it across the whole piece, and it really deposits. And you want to keep a lot of the dirt up here, so it really creates a nice effect. After that, you want to do the same lighting effect that you did on everything else in all of your fluorescent areas. And finally, with the Necrons, which was my favorite part that me and Saya painted, we used a Giacomo, you taught me part of this. You use Iron Warriors Silver from Games Workshop. I really enjoy that color. I think it's a really nice dark silver. And you paint everything in that color. Then I spray the whole thing with a matte, after I've sealed it all and all that kind of stuff. I've done all the weathering. I then seal it all with a matte varnish. and then I go back and I start adding in Vallejo silver into the mix, and I start painting from a reflection coming down. So with silver, you can see a reflection if you're holding it in the light, and you can start to paint into reflections, and then you just add more and more silver until you finally reach your maximum highlight, which is that pure Vallejo silver, which does mimic a chrome effect. And then you put that on the uppermost highlights, and that gives you this wonderful chrome T180 look,
Mhm.
which I really enjoy. I don't I don't know, right, if red, like the T180 red, would look as good with chrome in miniature painting, because chrome is innately a cold color, a neutral cold, compared to green, which is also cold. So they kind of complement each other. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. But that's how we painted the terrain. That's how we painted each of the teams. That was our kind of hobby rundown. All the Necrons were really simple to put together. The leader has a fiddly neck piece that I did non-stop complaining about. I would use a different word, but I'm not going to. Non-stop complaining about, because it broke and I had to find it when Giacomo was there. I had to find it. And
Yeah, I
then I had
remember
to glue
this.
the head on, and then I had to find a piece of tack and put it there, but I had museum tack, right? So the museum tack was too strong for the glue. So then I had to go find some blue tack, or I had to find actual tweezers and stick on the oh my gosh. I wanted to scream. It literally took me 30 minutes to reapply the little neck piece. It was
Fiddly
exciting.
pieces, man. Fiddly
Yeah,
pieces.
he's pretty fiddly. He's like the singular model that you look at and you're like, I kind of want to impulsively crush him, like, ooh, what would happen? You know? Um, Very wonderful model. Any kind of model that does that, is nice.
High quality.
High quality. Is there anything else, G, that you want to talk about here at the end of this podcast? You know?
Mm. Yeah, the box. Okay, so now that you've kind of seen everything and you know the context of the box and all the things you can do, the options and the operatives you get, I want to ask you, Dakota, do you still think it's worth the price that it is?
Giacomo, I'm buying 2 more boxes.
There you go. That's the answer. It's a yes. And I also would recommend buying this box, picking it up. You get two excellent teams, brand new sculpts for both Deathwatch and new models for Necrons, which is very cool. Cool. Two teams are pretty strong in my opinion.
Hmm.
Great for starting. Great for existing players. It has a lot for everybody, whether you want to do terrain because new terrain sets, and you get the cool modes with NPOs, which is a thing now you'll notice they're doing. It started in Typhon, really, where they started giving you NPO models. And I think that's going to be for the future, which I think is for the better. Because I have plenty of friends who enjoy Kill Team, but don't necessarily love all the hyper competitiveness that it can have. So sometimes they just want to play multiplayer, and I'm down with it. If that helps them play the game and get more people in the scene, I'm for it. So I really love the direction they're going with this, with the NPO mode, and Dakota likes writing his narrative stuff too. So like, it's cool to see more people encouraging a narrative play, and it's the type of experience you can have as well. Yeah, I think this box is awesome.
Yeah. Um, if you liked Gallowdark, you're going to love this. If you didn't like Gallowdark, you're going to love this. There's teleporting pads, there's light terrain, right? It's generally easier to make competitive maps if we're going to talk competitively real quick. I think it's generally easier to make competitive maps with this because you have the crutch of light terrain to put on a map compared to like Gallowdark, which had no light terrain for competitive play, right? So it's generally going to be a little bit easier to do that. You also have teleporting. Me and Giacomo didn't use a teleport pad once. Spoiler alert. We could have, but there was no point. We both had too few models to do. I think teleporting is going to be a lot more usable. I think Giacomo had a chance to do it with your Aegis model,
Mm-hmm.
but you kind of heavily committed. Um, and I think there's definitely going to be some really fun, cool play between those. You know, what I'm mostly interested in, G, right, is um, you know Vox Cascadia, right?
Hmm.
There's a podcast, Our Brothers to the North, very fun guys, great podcast. Um, they also they are well, Tyler notoriously hates Galadark. He hates it, right? Or I don't know if he's gotten better. I haven't talked to him in like a month or two, but like he generally doesn't like it. And if he doesn't like this, I'm gonna have to go up to Portland. We're gonna beef. We're gonna beef a little bit, you know.
Beef
I
on
think that
the table.
yeah, beef on the table. You know, I'll play him in Galadark and show him what's up, and you know, I'll lose on purpose. Um, no, but I think that anyone who has disliked Galadark in the past will really enjoy this because there's like we can hope in crit ops that they have the teleporting pads and they have the light terrain, right? Because we've seen the rule book. The rule book has all of them, right? We have to wait for crit ops, but I'm really hoping they do. And if they don't, as a community, we can just add them. You know, like the rules exist. The rules are there, right? Um, the maps are ours for the taking. If anyone knows me, I make competitive maps. You know, basically for a living, right? And we run the world's largest events. You know, so I think that these are definitely competitive. I think that they are very cool. I can't wait to see what the future of Kill Team holds for Tomb World and whatever teams are coming out in the future. I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty hyped. And it just proves that Into the Dark isn't going anywhere. You know, all these people that were waiting for it to leave, you know, they got another 4 years, you know, however
Yeah,
long these seasons last.
and I'm for it.
So
Yeah, I'm
yeah, me
for it.
too. I'm super excited. Super excited. Um, yeah, I'm Giacomo. Do you have any you know
Shout
any
outs,
shout
I
outs?
do. So you can join the conversation if you're in YouTube. You can put comments down, or you can go on our Discord and tell us what you think about the two new teams, which one you might be picking up. Or if you decide you don't want any of this box, maybe it's a bad value. You tell us why. I don't think that's the case, but you can tell us why. You're allowed to say what you'd like to say in moderation. So you can join us there on the Discord if you want to see us live. The next event we're going to be at, because we're hosting it and we're in charge of it, is the Las Vegas Open. That's between October 2nd through the 5th, if I'm getting the dates right. I always forget a little bit, somewhere around that time. It's in October, so if you get that chance, you should come to it because it's a lot of fun. You get to play Kill Team. You get to see some cool stuff from people who come around from the whole country, and some from other countries, which is cool. Catch it there. You can see us on our Twitch, which will be kind of starting up again now that things are kind of moving, probably a little bit pretty soon. We don't know exactly when, but pretty soon. And you can catch more battle reports there. We'll try to have them on YouTube as well. We got the Hobby Highlander. You have the articles now, which are on our website as well, so you could read those if you want to just have something more. You want to work your brain muscles and read a little bit. That's always cool too. We can go a little more in depth on our writing as well. And shout out to all you viewers and listeners out there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to the Patreon members, which we have the Patreon as well. It helps us do a lot of this stuff. And yeah, that's all my stuff.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for our patrons. Thanks for watching, getting to the end. Giacomo, what should they say here at the very end? Oh,
Hmm.
firstly, just two more shout outs.
Ooh,
Other than Alex Popov, I'm not going to
yeah.
shout him out more times. He chose the your little heart shoulder pad guy.
My
I'm rather
Lamentor.
upset. Lamentor. Yeah, I don't even want to remember their names. Shout out to Games Workshop again. Thank you for sending us the box early. We really enjoyed painting it. I really hope that you enjoyed the battle report. I really hope that you enjoyed our hobby discussion. In fact, I like the hobby discussion more than Giacomo, and I was like, "Hey, G, we should put the hobby discussion at the front." He's like, "No one's gonna watch that." Yeah. And I'm
No,
like,
we got to
"Oh,
keep that.
well, you're probably
Keep
right.
that at the
Yeah,
end.
you're
That's for the
probably right."
hardcore hobby fans.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But also, shout out to Yuji. You did an amazing job. You
Thank you.
painted these guys fantastically. You spent multiple nights. You had to listen to horrible music the entire time. I don't know why you do that to yourself. Rush. Um, my goodness. Shout out to Saya. Thank you so much for helping write the article that we're going to be posting. Thank you so much for all of your hard work that you put into this terrain and our countless hours. You know, like this was a huge undertaking for my entire family, including Giacomo, who's a part of my family, for the past 8 days, right?
Yeah.
A big section of our life, or especially recently. Thank you to Fox for making Alien. You know, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Thank you to Disney for making Andor. Also awesome. You know, getting me through this painting AK Light Earth on all of the terrain for 3 or 4 coats. Thank you so much. I needed the help. Hopefully you have something that you can always fall back on, whether it's book on tapes, whether it's podcasts, or anything else. Thank you to the viewers, our podcast listeners that have been with us for many years. Appreciate you all.
Yeah. And thank you to the painting team that helps us do stuff for LVO, because that's coming up too. So
Yeah, don't remind me.
I had to, because we're all going to be working on that. It's coming. It's coming. Hope to see you guys there at LVO.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. We're definitely putting in the effort to make sure that our terrain is beautiful, because if you're playing with beautiful models, we want to make sure our terrain looks just as pretty. So, yeah. Until next time, everyone. Dude, your hand. Look at your hand.
I know. What I do?
It looked like an oven mitt. There you go.
There, I think it does it once per session. I get to do fireworks.
See you guys later.